Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing Technics' SL-1500 turntable. Like most, I was surprised and fascinated with the re-engineering of their classic SL-1200, reference model being their G, and their very sort of affordable middle ground of the GR. Well, this, the 1500, is now so much more affordable as a sort of entry-level version using most of the characteristics of the two more reference models and offering a clear colour option of black and silver. Today, because I've done the SL-1200 in silver, we're unboxing the black 1500. The Technics packaging, like most, it's just a brown box. Bit of black information on it. Okay. Sealed with classic sellotape and has scanned model and serial number information on one end. Opening these, like anything like that, is very, very straightforward. In a slip of a knife and away we go. Opening the first layer of the carton, it shows you a line drawing associated with how the product has been boxed, along with an emulation of the model information. There's a simple piece of cardboard in the top, which is just there as a filler, so should somebody drag a craft knife a little bit deep, we're not going to damage any of the accessories underneath. So it's a nice little touch. Again, looking at it, we've got some accessories off to one side. Now this is a comprehensive user manual, along with a quick start guide and a warranty card. We've got a New Zealand IEC power cord and a pair of pretty basic left and right audio interconnects. The accessories are separated from the rest of it with a sleeve of cardboard. Like the predecessor, the Platter is now separately packed in the top. And slipping it out of its protective bag, you'll see a little plastic cover. Now that plastic cover can easily be removed when you're ready to assemble the turntable to expose essentially the other half of the motor. The reason that Technics turntables are so good is their implementation of direct drive. Poorly implemented, you can end up with some average results. And it's wonderful to see that Technics not only perfected it, but has re-engineered it in some of their better models and left some of the trickle down ready for a very, very affordable option we see here today. Now the next layer is, of course, polystyrene, holding everything together. And the polystyrene has protected the almost quintessential lid. You'll see why. With the oversized plastic bag and then bubble paper protects the lid from getting scratched. One thing with all of the Technics turntables, and again why it's sort of just quite iconic, is this little bulb in the lid. The ability to set up and change the height of the arm is one of the features that Technics has developed with their decks. And it's wonderful to see that they've kind of kept that character again in this sort of entry-level product. The next layer is a series of sort of accessories and other things like that. What we've got is a square brown envelope. In that envelope is the heavy, heavy weight rubber mat that will of course sit on the Platter. The next layer is a simple enough piece of folded cardboard to ensure that the lid has a little bit of support underneath should these be stacked and frayed. Removing of that reveals some of the first accessories. Now one of the most important, and what I'm going to pause on, is that this turntable, to ensure it's very appealing to an end user, comes pre-fitted and set up for an Autophon 2M red cartridge. This hugely popular and amazing performing cartridge for the price. It is a lovely little option as far as this deck to ensure that as you you don't have to fuss around selecting what cartridge you're going to do. You can get the ball rolling from day one, clip it in, away you go. Now, as always, hang around for some close-up photographs. You'll see all this getting assembled and clicked in. The next accessory, and it's a little one and often it's missed, is an additional screw-in counterweight. Now the counterweight is utilised for if you're using P&P or very heavy sort of cartridges on the end of the arm. This additional mass, it's quite heavy, screws in the back, allowing for some balancing, and then of course its traditional counterweight can be adjusted appropriately from there. We've got a basic 45 adapter, and then the turntable's counterweight itself. Because it's black, of course, the turntable, with a black counterweight and the classic ring. Now, the next is very simple, just lift it out. Now this polystone is very firm as far as its grip on the product, so what I'm going to do is spin it around, take some of the ends off, lift the product off the last bit of packaging and discard the box. Now, unlike the 1200, this is nowhere near as heavy. I think you'd expect it. It's significantly cheaper, but it does allude to some of the engineering compromises that have been made to achieve such an aggressive price point for such a beautiful and iconic turntable. It sits inside another poly bag, and looking at this for a moment for the first time, you'll see the other half of the direct drive motor, and it's the implementation of that that is what has created such an iconic following of the Technics decks. This is utterly stunning, so simple in its engineering but utterly stunning in its outcome. What we're going to do is pause, and I'm going to briefly sort of assemble some of the parts so it starts to look more like a turntable straight away. For obvious reasons, the cover has been removed straight over the centre, just careful, and then the rubber mat. The second, of course, is the head shell with the cartridge, which clicks in and then a simple twist, and this deck starts to look very familiar as far as the rest of things go. There's a little chock, a little piece of rubber in the back of the arm to ensure that it works just enough in to hold the arm from in transit and stop it from bouncing around. The arm, of course, can be released with a simple click. The counterweight is typically put here, and then of course, if required, the additional weight screws in the back here. We're not going to assemble that today. So, let's have a look at this deck, and let's start from the back. Firstly, the hinges. Now, the lid simply clicks in and out with very little force. These hinge mounts are oversized to ensure that it's very straightforward as far as sliding the lid on and off if required. The unit has these independently suspended feet, and there's 4 of them, and they're wonderfully designed to absorb any vibration off the surface and, of course, any resonance from the deck itself. In the base, we've got the outputs, and we've got both the option of a line output to connect directly to an amplifier without a phono preamp, or a traditional phono output, as well as a ground for the ground lead or earth. We've got an unusual option here, which is the auto lift up, which gives you the ability to, at the end of a record, lift it up to ensure that you can reduce stylus wear. And then over here, the plug for the IEC power input. Looking at the deck, you'll see there's an absence of the stroboscope sort of edges that are common with the 1200 GR and G. You have no ability to be able to attenuate it like we did with the other one, which has a pitch slider over to one side. That's one of the reasons that this deck is so cost effective, and to be honest, it's a feature that most of our sort of music listeners wouldn't ever use. It's kind of a trickle down from Technics' DJ market, and with the iconic nature of their decks, it's good to see it's in the higher end versions, but absent from one that is designed to be quite sort of user friendly for a music listener. Looking at it, we've got a basic start stop and on and off. Now the on and off powers up the unit. Start and stop, for obvious reasons, starts the platter turning. You've got the ability, and please hang around for some close-ups, to at the tap of a button move to 33 or 45. Tapping both at the same time will allow the unit to play 78s. And that's one of the reasons that Technics has continued with this head shell, removable head shell, because some of the 78s may require a specific cartridge, and you can swap in even mono if required. Spinning it around and looking for a moment at that arm, and again hang around for some close-ups, we've got the ability to, with the bent arm, obviously for tracking to be excellent. We've got the ability with its raise and lower, oil dampened, and anti-skate force to be able to attenuate for any of the balancing elements to ensure it works just perfectly. It has wonderful bearings associated with left and right sweep, and a lovely floating element to it. Like the more expensive 1200G R and G, this has the ability to adjust the arm's height. And should you be using unusual cartridges or all sorts of things, that height adjustment is ideal to get the very, very most out of this deck. So, there we have it. Technics' SL-1500 in this glorious black finish, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.